The execution alarm echoed through the alien prison as Captain Elias Rourke closed his eyes, not in fear, but in acceptance. After 10 years of torture and silence, death was finally here. Then the cell door opened, and a beautiful alien bounty hunter said 3 impossible words, "You're coming with me." If you love powerful HFY stories where humanity rises when the galaxy underestimates it, stories of survival, honor, and unstoppable human will, then subscribe now. Every story here proves one truth: humans don't break. They endure, adapt, and rise. The execution alarm began as a low vibration in the walls, a sound so deep it bypassed the ears and settled directly into the bones. Captain Elias Rourke felt it before he heard it. The prisoners always did. It was designed that way. No escape from the knowledge that someone, somewhere, was about to die. Elias stopped working. Around him, the quarry pit of Carthax hold froze. Chains rattled. Alien inmates lifted their heads, eyes dull with hunger or sharp with anticipation. Executions were entertainment here. They broke the rhythm of suffering, reminded everyone that survival was temporary. A drone hovered closer to Elias's collar, projecting a strip of pale blue light across his chest. Prisoner designation: Human, Elias Rourke, it intoned. Execution window confirmed. Remain compliant. Elias nodded once. No words. He had learned long ago that silence denied them satisfaction. 10 years earlier, he might have screamed. He might have cursed the coalition, the prison, the war that had erased Earth's banners from this region of space. Now, at 41, his reactions were economical. Breath in. Breath out. Control what remained. A nearby inmate, a towering reptilian brute with scar-latticed scales, snorted. Finally, it hissed in broken trade tongue. The soft one dies. Elias met its gaze calmly. The creature flinched first. That small victory warmed nothing. The quarry guards moved in, exoskeletal limbs clicking as they released Elias's chain from the rock drill. The tool fell with a dull clang. His wrists remained bound, inhibitor cuffs biting into scarred skin. The cuffs pulsed, suppressing adrenaline, dulling reflexes. The coalition feared human pain tolerance more than human strength. They marched him through corridors carved from black alloy and old blood. Carthax Hold was an orbiting graveyard, suspended above a dying red star whose radiation painted everything in perpetual dusk. Prisoners said the star fed on regret. Elias believed it. He felt lighter the closer he came to its glow. The execution chamber waited at the heart of the station. Circular. Clean. Designed to look merciful. Warden Zirak Vol stood at its edge, talons folded behind his back. Tall, angular, draped in authority sigils, Vol watched Elias approach with something close to disappointment. "So," the warden said, voice smooth and amplified, "the human endures no longer." Elias stopped where the guards positioned him. "You've said that before." Vol's eyes narrowed. "You should have broken. Most of your kind do." "We're bad at expectations," Elias replied quietly. A ripple of irritation passed through the chamber. Vol gestured, and a holographic record flickered to life. Elias's file, redacted lines stacked like scars. Combat footage. Interrogation reports. Survival probabilities adjusted downward year after year. "You were supposed to be an example," Vol said. "Instead, you became an inconvenience." "Story of my career." Vol ignored the comment. "Any final statement before termination?" Elias considered it. He thought of Earth's oceans, of rain that didn't burn the skin, of soldiers laughing in foxholes because laughter was cheaper than fear. He thought of promises made and broken, of flags folded and buried. "No," he said. "Let's be done." The execution platform hummed to life beneath his feet. Restraints rose, locking his arms outward. The ceiling aperture began to open, exposing the star's filtered radiation lens. Then the station shuddered. Not the subtle vibration of orbital drift, but a sharp, violent jolt that sent guards stumbling. Alarms replaced the execution tone, harsh and unfamiliar. Vol spun. "Report." A panicked officer responded, "Unauthorized vessel has breached docking perimeter." Clearance codes. They're overriding us. That's impossible, Vol snapped. No independent contractor has authority here. Another tremor rippled through the chamber. The execution lens powered down abruptly, restraints unlocking as systems reset. Elias felt the cuffs loosen. He did not move. A new voice cut through the chaos, transmitted across every channel at once. Calm, female, edged with command. This is Valeth Kara, Independent Bounty Authority. By sealed coalition mandate, execution is suspended. Prisoner Elias Rourke is now under my claim. Silence fell. Vol's mandibles tightened. You overstep. I override, the voice corrected. Your systems already know that. The chamber doors slid open. She entered alone. Valeth Kara was taller than Elias remembered most aliens being, her frame lean and lethal, armored plating contoured for movement rather than display. Her face, smooth, angular, unmistakably alien, held eyes the color of storm glass. Not cruel, not kind, assessing. Her gaze settled on Elias. He expected contempt, pity, disinterest. Instead, she studied him the way a predator studies terrain, calculating, alert. This is him, she asked. Vol bristled. A failed soldier. A relic. Valeth stepped closer until she stood directly in front of Elias. Up close, he saw faint scars along her jaw, the kind earned, not inflicted. She met his eyes. You don't look ready to die, she said. I was, Elias replied. Until you arrived. A corner of her mouth lifted, just slightly. Good. Vol moved forward. This prisoner is scheduled for termination. Valeth didn't look at him. He's scheduled for transport. She raised her wrist. The inhibitor cuffs deactivated fully, clattering to the floor. Elias flexed his fingers slowly, feeling sensation return like fire. He kept his movements measured. 2 fast invited bullets. Why? He asked. Valeth finally answered him, not the warden. Because the galaxy made a mistake, she said. And you're still breathing. Security teams flooded the chamber. Weapons trained. Systems conflicted, commands overlapping. Valeth turned, voice cold. Stand down. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the guards lowered their weapons. Elias exhaled. Death had waited 10 years for him. Today, it would have to wait longer. The restraints lay abandoned on the execution platform, their metal still warm. Elias stepped off slowly, acutely aware of every weapon tracking him. Carthax's hold had not decided whether he was a corpse or cargo, and uncertainty was often deadlier than hatred. Valeth Kara walked first. Not as an escort, but as a declaration. Move, she said, not to Elias, but to the guards blocking the chamber exit. They hesitated. Warden Vol's voice sharpened. You will obey station authority. Valeth stopped and finally turned to face him. Her eyes glinted. Your authority ended the moment you accepted coalition black warrants without reading the annexes. She projected a sigil into the air, golden, rotating, layered with encryption. The guards' visors flickered as their systems authenticated it. One by one, weapons lowered. Vol's posture stiffened. This prisoner belongs to Carthax's hold. Elias spoke before Valeth could respond. Funny, he said evenly. You've been trying to kill me for a decade. Vol's gaze snapped to him. Silence. Valeth's head tilted slightly. No. Let him speak. Humans rarely waste words. Elias met her eyes again. If you're taking me, he said, do it clean. I won't be dragged. Something unreadable passed across her expression. She nodded once. Agreed. They moved through the corridor network under emergency lighting. The prison felt different now, tenser, like an animal that sensed a blade at its throat. Prisoners pressed against force barriers, watching in stunned silence as a condemned human walked free. Whispers followed them. That's him. The unbroken one. Elias ignored it. Reputation inside a cage was still a cage. Valeth led him into a secured transit chamber. The doors sealed with a sound Elias had only heard from the outside before. For the first time in years, he was alone with someone who wasn't trying to hurt him. She studied him openly now. "You should be weaker," she said. "I get that a lot." "No," she replied. "Physiologically. Your nutrition records are inadequate. Your injuries were untreated." Elias shrugged. "Didn't seem optional." She circled him slowly, not threatening, but thorough. "Most species deteriorate in Carthax hold within 2 cycles. You improved." "I adapted." "That word again," she murmured. "Humans use it like a reflex. Because it keeps us alive." Valeth stopped in front of him. "Do you know why you're still alive, Captain Rourke?" Elias shook his head. "No one ever tells the prisoners anything useful." "You survived an engagement designated Omega Black," she said. "Coalition command lists no survivors." Elias's jaw tightened. "Then their lists are wrong." "That battlefield no longer exists," Valeth continued. "Scoured. Sanitized. Whatever happened there was erased." "Not everything," Elias said quietly. Silence stretched between them. Valeth tapped her wrist console. The chamber's field dampeners activated, blocking external monitoring. "Answer carefully," she said. "Are you a liability or a witness?" Elias thought of soldiers holding a line they were never meant to survive. Of orders that changed mid-battle. Of alien allies who withdrew and never came back. "I'm a consequence," he said. Valeth's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but interest. "That's worse." The chamber jolted as her ship disengaged from the prison docking arm. Elias felt the motion in his bones. After 10 years of artificial gravity schedules, the shift was disorienting. "You could have let them kill me," he said. "Yes." "Why didn't you?" Valeth met his gaze directly. "Because every species lies. Humans lie differently." "How so?" "You pretend you're weaker than you are," she said. "It makes predators careless." Elias almost smiled. The ship's interior was compact, efficient, scarred by use. No trophies. No decorations. A hunter's workspace, not a showpiece. Valeth gestured him toward a restraint seat, not a prison harness, but a safety frame. "Sit. Acceleration will be unpleasant." He complied without comment. Trust, Elias knew, was not given. It was loaned, cautiously. As the ship jumped to slipspace, pressure crushed his chest, then released. Stars smeared into lines. Elias breathed through it, focusing on rhythm. Valeth watched him endure. "You don't ask about your destination," she noted. "Doesn't matter yet. Most prisoners beg for details." "I'm not a prisoner." "No," she agreed. "You're a problem." When the ship stabilized, Valeth finally spoke again. "The Coalition issued a retrieval contract on you under sealed authority. No explanations. No witnesses. No delays." "Sounds like them." "I don't like contracts without reasons," she said. "They tend to explode." "So why take it?" "Because Warden Vole tried to void it," she said flatly. "That means someone with power is afraid of you." Elias leaned back, eyes closing briefly. Exhaustion pressed in now that adrenaline had nowhere to hide. "They should be," he said. Valeth studied him for a long moment. "Rest. We're not safe yet. Where are you taking me?" She hesitated. "Somewhere between forgotten and exposed," she answered. "Depends on how honest you are." The ship's alarms flickered softly, passive scans detecting pursuit vectors. Valeth's hand moved to the controls. "They're coming," she said. Elias opened his eyes fully, focus snapping into place. "Then stop running." She looked at him sharply. "Excuse me. You wanted to know what humans do differently," he said. We don't survive by escaping forever. Vailith's lips curved, slow and dangerous. No, she said. You survive by making someone else regret chasing you. The ship pivoted, engines flaring. Behind them, Carthax's hull burned brighter against the dying star. And for the first time since his capture, Elias Rourke felt something unfamiliar settle into his chest. Not hope. Purpose. The first missile missed by a margin so small Elias felt the ship shudder from displaced energy rather than impact. Vailith didn't curse or shout. Her hands moved with cold precision across the controls, rerouting power, folding the ship into a corkscrew that twisted pursuit vectors into useless spirals. Coalition Interceptor, she said calmly. Light class. They shouldn't be this close. They tracked you from the prison, Elias replied. Vol doesn't forgive embarrassment. Vailith glanced at him once. You sound certain. I know his type. The interceptor fired again. Vailith rolled hard, engines screaming as inertial dampeners strained. Elias braced, teeth clenched, body adapting the way it always had. Pain registered, then faded into background noise. He had learned long ago that pain was just information. Any suggestions, human? Vailith asked, voice tight but controlled. Yes, Elias said. Stop flying like prey. Her eyes flicked to him. You want control of my ship? No, he answered. I want you to scare them. Vailith hesitated for half a second, then cut thrust. The sudden deceleration slammed Elias into the restraints. Warning tones screamed as the interceptor overshot them, its targeting solution breaking apart. Vailith smiled. You enjoy this. I enjoy predictability, Elias said. Predators chase. Soldiers ambush. She flipped the ship vertically, fired a single concentrated pulse into the interceptor's drive cone. Not lethal. Disabling. The alien craft spun away, systems dead, drifting helplessly. Vailith didn't finish it. You could have destroyed them, Elias said. They'll report what happened, she replied. Fear spreads faster than wreckage. The ship jumped again, this time into a debris-dense shadow zone where scanners struggled. Silence followed. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. You fought like a commander, Vailith finally said. I was one. Past tense. Only on paper. Vailith studied him, then gestured toward the rear compartment. Medical bay. You're degrading faster than you admit. Elias didn't argue. When he unbuckled, his legs protested, muscles screaming from years of malnutrition. He moved anyway. Motion kept weakness honest. The medbay was compact, sterile, efficient. Vailith activated a scanner, its light passing through him in bands of soft blue. Her brow furrowed. This damage should have crippled you. It tried. Your spine, microfractures, organ scarring, neural fatigue. Still here, Elias said. She looked at him, really looked this time. Why? He considered the question while the scanner hummed. Because quitting would have proven them right. Who? Everyone who said humans were temporary. The scanner finished. Vailith exhaled slowly. You need treatment. Real treatment. Not whatever the prison pretended to provide. Later. She didn't argue. We're heading to a neutral relay station. I need to verify your contract details. Meaning someone will try to kill you again. Elias nodded. They always do. The relay station hung inside a hollowed asteroid, its interior carved into concentric rings of docks and trade corridors. Neutral ground in theory. In practice, neutrality was a commodity. Vailith docked under a false registry. The moment the airlock sealed, Elias felt it, the shift. Eyes on him. Fear, curiosity, calculation. Humans drew attention. Humans who walked out of Carthax's hold drew interest. They moved through the station's lower tier. Traders paused mid-transaction. Mercenaries leaned back, hands drifting closer to weapons. News traveled fast here, even without words. "Stay close," Valeth said quietly. "I always do." They didn't make it 10 steps before the ambush triggered. Energy nets dropped from the ceiling, crackling with suppressive fields tuned for human biology. Elias reacted instantly, diving forward instead of back. The net clipped his shoulder, searing pain across scar tissue, but momentum carried him clear. Valeth spun, weapons already drawn, dropping 2 attackers before they fired. More emerged, 4, then 6, mixed species, coalition gear. "Retrieval team," Valeth snapped. "They're not authorized to kill." "They will," Elias said. A bolt grazed his side, heat burning cloth and skin. He grabbed a fallen crate, heaved it into the nearest attacker, then closed distance before the second could adjust aim. His fist connected with a joint seam. Bone cracked. The alien collapsed, screaming. Valeth watched him move, economical, brutal, efficient. "You shouldn't be able to do that," she said. Elias disarmed another attacker, twisting the weapon free and reversing it in one fluid motion. "You keep saying that." Station security finally responded, sirens wailing. The retrieval team scattered, dragging wounded, abandoning the dead. Breathing hard, Elias leaned against a bulkhead. His vision swam briefly, then steadied. Valeth approached, eyes sharp. They weren't expecting resistance. "They never do," Elias said. "That's why humans last." She nodded slowly. "The Coalition didn't just want you erased." "What did they want?" "They wanted you quiet," she said. "Alive, contained, forgotten." Elias straightened. "Then they made a mistake." Valeth met his gaze, something like respect settling between them. "Yes," she said. "They underestimated what happens when a survivor stops waiting." Alarms echoed through the station as Valeth pulled him toward the exit. Somewhere behind them, fear began to spread. And for the first time, it wasn't human. They didn't return to the ship immediately. Valeth led Elias through maintenance corridors thick with dust and old coolant, places the station's public sensors barely touched. The farther they moved from the docks, the quieter the alarms became, until the chaos faded into a distant thrum. "You planned that route," Elias said, keeping pace despite the ache spreading through his ribs. "I plan most things," Valeth replied. "Especially exits." They stopped inside a sealed operations alcove. Valeth triggered a privacy field, then turned to face him. Her expression had changed, no longer purely tactical, but weighted. "You need to understand something," she said. "Your existence is not a coincidence." Elias folded his arms slowly. "Neither was my capture." She activated a holodisplay between them. Star maps bloomed to life, shifting layers of data cascading into focus. One region pulsed red. "Designation Omega Black," Valeth said. "Officially, a failed joint operation against a rogue system. Unofficially, a purge." Elias's jaw tightened. "We were told it was a holding action." "You were bait," she corrected. Human forces deployed to draw resistance while coalition fleets evacuated classified assets. Elias stared at the projection. The shapes resolved into familiar formations, human defensive lines, stretched thin, holding against impossible odds. "They never came back," he said quietly. "No," Valeth agreed. "They let the system burn." The display shifted again, revealing intercepted transmissions, casualty tallies marked sealed, entire sections blacked out. "You survived," Valeth continued. "That was not accounted for." Elias exhaled slowly. "I didn't survive alone." She looked at him sharply. "Explain." "There were others," he said. "Wounded, trapped, civilians. We held the line so they could run. The records list no evacuees." "That's because the Coalition erased them," Elias said. "Easier to erase witnesses than admit betrayal." Valeth dismissed the display, her fingers tightening briefly. That decision destabilized 3 sectors. Species vanished. Trade collapsed. Blame fell on human recklessness. Elias met her gaze. We were convenient. Yes, she said. And expendable. Silence settled between them, heavy but shared. That's why they imprisoned you instead of killing you outright, Valeth continued. Dead men can't contradict official history. Living ones can. They tried to break me, Elias said. Thought if I forgot, the truth would die. Did it? He shook his head. It lives in the ones who didn't make it back. Valeth studied him, something like conflict crossing her face. I've hunted across 6 sectors. I've seen species crumble under less. Humans don't crumble, Elias said. We scar. She looked away first. A faint tremor ran through the station. External drives engaged somewhere nearby. Ships moving, repositioning. We don't have long, Valeth said. Coalition pressure will escalate. Then tell me the rest, Elias said. Why you? She hesitated, then answered. Because my species lost a colony in Omega Black. Elias stilled. The Coalition blamed pirates, she continued. I believed them. Until fragments of sealed data surfaced. Human battlefield logs. Your name appeared repeatedly. Command logs, Elias said. I coordinated civilian corridors. Yes, Valeth said. You held evacuation routes long enough for thousands to escape. Not enough, Elias replied. For my people, she said quietly. Enough. Their eyes met again, something unspoken settling between them. The Coalition buried that truth, Valeth said. But not completely. Someone wants it exposed. And you're the courier, Elias said. I'm the filter, she corrected. If you were broken, I would have delivered you quietly. And now I'm reconsidering. The privacy field flickered. Valeth's wrist console chimed. Priority alert. Coalition strike authorization detected, she said. They're done pretending. Then we stop running, Elias replied. She studied him. You're in no condition for open conflict. I've been in worse. Valeth sighed softly, then tapped the console. There is one condition. Name it. If we expose the truth, she said, it will burn alliances. Collapse systems. People will die. Elias nodded once. They already did. That answer doesn't absolve you. It doesn't, he agreed. It explains me. Valeth considered him for a long moment, then deactivated the privacy field. Very well, she said. We leave now. They moved back toward the ship. This time, the station felt different, not predatory, but wary. News had spread. The human wasn't prey. He was evidence. As they boarded, Valeth sealed the hatch and brought the engines online. Destination? Elias asked. A data sanctuary beyond Coalition reach, she replied. If it still exists. And if it doesn't, then we make one. The ship lifted free, engines burning hot. Coalition signatures flared on the edge of sensors. Too many, too fast. Valeth set a collision course toward a dense stellar debris field. That will tear us apart, Elias said. Not if we time it correctly. He strapped in without hesitation. You trust me, she observed. No, Elias said. I trust consequences. The ship plunged forward, alarms screaming as gravity twisted and stars fractured into chaos. Behind them, the Coalition closed in. Ahead, truth waited, sharp, dangerous, and impossible to ignore. For the first time since his capture, Elias Rourke wasn't surviving to endure. He was surviving to be heard. The debris field tore at the ship like a living thing. Fragments of shattered hulls, mineral shards, and frozen wreckage spun in overlapping currents, each piece moving with indifferent violence. Valeth threaded through them with brutal precision, engines flaring, then cutting, then flaring again. Hold, she said. Elias didn't ask what she meant. He braced as the ship clipped a tumbling plate of alloy. The impact rang through the hull, sharp and metallic, but the angle was shallow. Vayleth used it, redirecting momentum instead of fighting it. Coalition ships followed, less carefully. One interceptor struck debris head-on. Its shields flared once, then failed. The wreck spun away in pieces. Vayleth exhaled slowly. They learn poorly. They're used to enemies that flee, Elias replied. Humans teach them otherwise. The ship burst free of the debris field into open space. For a heartbeat, there was calm. Then the alarms changed pitch. Station proximity warning, Vayleth said. Automated coalition security node ahead. Elias leaned forward. That's not a station. Vayleth's eyes narrowed as sensor data resolved. You're right. It's a prison. The structure loomed into view, smaller than Carthack's hold, but unmistakable. Angular. Heavily armed. Designed for containment, not mercy. Secondary black site, Elias said. They rotate prisoners through places like that. Vayleth's jaw tightened. They'll use it as a kill box. Only if we let them, Elias replied. She glanced at him. You have a plan. I have experience, he said. Prisons rely on order. Break the order, and the walls become liabilities. Vayleth considered, then nodded. I'll get us docked. They approached under false credentials, Vayleth's transponder weaving lies faster than the node could challenge. Docking clamps engaged. The moment the airlock cycled, Elias felt it again, the familiar weight of suppression fields, the hum of control. This place smells like fear, Vayleth muttered. Fear is efficient, Elias said. Until it isn't. They moved fast. Vayleth disabled cameras while Elias mapped routes from memory and instinct, reading angles, distances, pressure points. The prison's layout echoed others he had endured, variation without imagination. Security hub, he said, pointing. That controls inmate collars. Vayleth paused. If you disable those, it becomes chaos, Elias finished. Exactly. She handed him a compact charge. You know how to use that? I know how to make things stop working. They split. Vayleth moved toward the command deck. Elias slipped into maintenance shafts, muscles screaming as he climbed. Pain followed him like a shadow. He ignored it. The security hub was guarded by 2 sentries. Elias waited, counted breaths, watched patterns. When the moment came, he moved. One guard fell without a sound. The other raised a weapon that never fired. Elias caught it mid-motion, twisted, and drove the butt into a joint seam. The guard collapsed, unconscious. Elias planted the charge and rolled clear. The explosion was contained but decisive. Systems flickered. Then alarms howled, not warnings, but confusion. Across the prison, collars deactivated. Elias felt it like a pulse through the station. Shouts erupted. Cells unlocked. Suppression fields dropped. The prison screamed. He moved with purpose now, not hiding, not fleeing. Prisoners poured into corridors, starved, scarred, furious. Some attacked each other. Others froze, unsure how to exist without chains. Elias climbed onto a crate and shouted, voice cutting through the noise. Listen. Few understood his words, but tone transcended language. Authority carried in posture, in certainty. Get out, he continued, gesturing toward the docking bays. Anyone who can walk, move. Some followed. Others hesitated. Elias jumped down and kept moving. Leadership was not persuasion. It was momentum. On the command deck, Vayleth fought with lethal efficiency. Coalition officers fell one by one, unable to match her speed or precision. When Elias arrived, smoke hung in the air and bodies littered the floor. You're late, she said. Traffic, Elias replied. She deactivated the last console. Coalition response fleet inbound. Minutes. Then we use the prison, Elias said. She looked at him sharply. As a weapon? As a message. Elias accessed the central broadcast node. His fingers moved with practiced ease, pulling logs, combat footage, sealed orders. He bundled everything: Omega Black, evacuation corridors, casualty lists, betrayal. Valeth watched, eyes dark. Once this transmits, there's no taking it back. Good, Elias said. They've taken enough. He triggered the broadcast. Across Coalition space, data burst outward like a shockwave. Truth, long buried, tore through secure channels, public feeds, diplomatic archives. On screen, human soldiers held lines they were never meant to survive. Civilians fled through fire. Orders changed. Allies withdrew. The lie collapsed. Coalition ships dropped out of slipspace around the prison, weapons powering up. Valeth grabbed Elias's arm. We have to go. Now. Elias shook his head. Not yet. He rerouted power from the prison's reactors, overloading containment systems. The station groaned as structural warnings screamed. You're going to destroy it, Valeth said. Yes, Elias replied. After everyone who wants out leaves. Escape pods launched in waves. Docked freighters tore free, overloaded but moving. Coalition fire struck the prison's outer hull. Explosions rippled. Valeth stared at Elias. You could have escaped quietly. I didn't survive to be quiet. The last pod launched. Elias sealed the bay. Now, he said. They ran. Valeth's ship detached under fire, engines burning hot as the prison behind them fractured, then collapsed inward, consumed by its own failing core. Silence followed. Coalition ships hesitated, formations breaking as new orders flooded in, conflicting, panicked. Valeth let out a slow breath. You turned a prison riot into a sector-wide reckoning. Elias leaned back, exhaustion crashing in. Human war doesn't end when you're captured, he said. It just changes shape. Valeth looked at him, not as prey, not as cargo, but as something far more dangerous. A survivor who refused to stay buried. The prison's death lit the void behind them, a collapsing star of metal and consequence. Valeth pushed the engines hard, riding the shockwave until distance swallowed the blast. Coalition ships scattered, formations dissolving as command channels flooded with emergency directives and denials that came too late. Elias watched the debris fade from the viewport. He felt no triumph. Only finality. Warden Vol will survive, Valeth said, reading the silence. Men like him always do. Elias shook his head. Not this. She glanced at him. Explain. He built his authority on certainty, Elias said. On the belief that humans were controllable. We just removed that. Valeth's console chimed again, sharp and insistent. Incoming priority transmission. The hollow resolved into Warden Zirak Vol's image. His composure was cracked now, mandibles tight, eyes burning with fury. You have committed an act of war, Vol snarled. Elias stepped forward into the projections field. No, he said evenly. You did. We just survived it. You were property, Vol spat. An expendable asset. That's where you miscalculated, Elias replied. Humans don't stay owned. Vol leaned closer to the camera. You think exposure will save you? The Coalition will bury this. They always do. Maybe, Elias said. But not before people see it. You condemn millions to instability, Vol hissed. Elias met his gaze without flinching. You already did. We just turned on the lights. Vol's eyes flicked, reading data only he could see. Panic bled through his rage. You don't understand what you are, Vol said. Your species survives by accident. Elias's voice softened, deadly calm. We survive by design. The transmission cut abruptly. Valeth exhaled. He'll run. Good, Elias said. Running leaders leave trails. The ship slipped into a low-emission drift. Valeth routed power to shields and data cores, isolating systems. The broadcast spread faster than expected, she said. Independent networks mirrored it. Elias nodded. Truth does that. Valeth studied him. You knew this would fracture the coalition. I hoped it would, Elias replied. Empires built on lies collapse when forced to remember. You could have taken revenge, she said. Killed Vol. Burned everything. I wasn't imprisoned for revenge, Elias said. I was imprisoned to be forgotten. She considered that. And now I decide what's remembered. The ship shuddered as it entered a signal-dense corridor. Dozens of messages queued, offers, threats, pleas. Everyone wants something, Valeth muttered. Let them wait, Elias said. A coded signal pierced the noise, marked with an old human encryption key. Valeth froze. That's impossible, she said. That key was decommissioned. Elias leaned forward as the message decrypted. A single line appeared. We heard you. His breath caught. Not relief. Recognition. They survived, he whispered. Who? Valeth asked. The ones who ran, Elias said. The civilians. Someone's listening. The message expanded. Coordinates. A request. Nothing more. Valeth's eyes narrowed. It's a trap. Probably, Elias agreed. But it's ours. She studied him. You're choosing the long fight. I've been in it for 10 years, Elias said. This just gives it direction. Valeth adjusted course. If we go there, the coalition will follow. They already are, Elias replied. Better they follow us than hunt ghosts. The ship accelerated, stars bending as they jumped again. On the far edge of coalition space, a small flotilla waited, civilian craft, human-built, scarred but operational. Makeshift, stubborn, alive. They hailed immediately. A human face appeared on the hollow, older, worn, eyes sharp with disbelief. Captain Rourke, the man asked. Elias straightened. That's right. We thought you were dead. So did they, Elias said. Turns out that wasn't enough. The man laughed once, sharp and incredulous. You started something. Elias nodded. Help me finish it. The channel closed. Valeth watched him carefully. You just became a symbol, she said. Elias shook his head. I became a reminder. Coalition signatures flared on the edge of sensors again, larger this time. Warships. Command vessels. Valeth-powered weapons. They're not here to talk. Neither am I, Elias said. The human flotilla maneuvered, crude but coordinated. Defensive patterns formed, familiar ones. Valeth's eyes widened slightly. They learned from you. Elias allowed himself a small, tired smile. Humans learn fast when survival is involved. Coalition fire erupted, space igniting with energy and debris. The human ships held, not matching strength, but timing. Feints. Traps. Sacrificial maneuvers that saved others. Valeth fought alongside them now, no longer apart. Amid the chaos, Elias opened a channel to all frequencies. This is Captain Elias Rourke, he said. To anyone listening, this is what happened. This is who we are. The message carried across the battlefield, raw and unfiltered. We were abandoned, Elias continued. We endured. And we are done being silent. Coalition formations wavered. Some ships withdrew. Others fired harder. Valeth glanced at him. They're afraid. They should be, Elias said. Humans don't forget. As the battle raged, Elias felt something settle inside him. Not anger, not vengeance. Purpose. The Warden had learned the truth too late. Humanity was never weak. It was patient. The battlefield fractured into motion and light, a chaos of vectors and intent. Human ships moved like schools of fish, imperfect individually, unstoppable together. Coalition targeting algorithms hesitated, recalculating against patterns they had never bothered to study. Valeth matched the rhythm instinctively, her ship slipping into formation as if it had always belonged there. "They're adapting in real time," she said. "They have to," Elias replied. "No one's coming to save them." A human frigate took a direct hit, its shields collapsing in a cascade of sparks. Instead of retreating, it surged forward, ramming an enemy cruiser at a suicidal angle. The impact tore both ships apart, but the opening it created allowed 3 civilian transports to escape. Valeth's grip tightened. "That was deliberate." "Yes," Elias said softly. "That captain chose who lived." Coalition command ships pulled back, trying to reassert order. Drones deployed, saturating space with suppressive fire. Human ships scattered, then regrouped, luring drones into overlapping kill zones improvised from debris and wreckage. "They shouldn't know how to do this," Valeth said. Elias shook his head. "They were never taught how to lose properly." A transmission cut through the noise, an alien merchant vessel broadcasting on an open channel. "To any human craft," the voice said, strained and urgent. "We have wounded aboard. Coalition forces are blocking our exit." Elias didn't hesitate. "Send coordinates." Valeth adjusted course immediately. "That puts us between 2 cruisers." "Then we'll be between them," Elias said. They plunged forward. Coalition fire converged, energy tearing past the hull. Valeth wove through it, trusting Elias's timing as he called adjustments with calm precision. A human corvette joined them, shielding the merchant vessel with its own failing hull. They reached the ship just as its engines faltered. Valeth latched on, towing it clear under heavy fire. The merchant captain's face appeared on the hollow, furred, wide-eyed, shaken. "Why would you do this?" Elias met the gaze. "Because someone once did it for us." The channel cut as the merchant vessel jumped away. Coalition lines buckled further. Some ships disengaged entirely, fleeing rather than face an enemy that refused to behave as expected. Valeth exhaled. "This is spreading." "Yes," Elias said. "Fear works both ways." Another message arrived, this one from a neutral news relay. "Captain Rourke, reports confirm your broadcast. Independent observers verify coalition withdrawal at Omega Black." Comment. Elias opened the channel. "The comment is this," he said. "We didn't ask to be heroes. We asked to be remembered accurately." The relay cut, stunned. Coalition command attempted a final push, concentrating fire on the human flotilla's center. Elias watched the pattern form, already seeing the weakness. "Tell them to fold," he said. Valeth relayed the command. Human ships executed the maneuver instantly, collapsing inward, drawing coalition fire into empty space. Then they expanded again, flanking the exposed command vessel. A single coordinated strike disabled it. Silence followed, not peace, but pause. Coalition ships powered down weapons. Some signaled surrender. Others jumped blindly, abandoning allies. Valeth leaned back, breath unsteady. "They're retreating." Elias closed his eyes briefly. "Good." The aftermath unfolded slowly. Wreckage drifted. Rescue operations began. Human ships moved from combat to recovery without hesitation, pulling survivors from both sides. Valeth watched in disbelief. "You're saving them." "Yes," Elias said. "That's how this ends." She looked at him. "You're dangerous." He opened his eyes. "Only to systems that depend on cruelty." A final transmission arrived. Coalition High Council, Emergency Channel. Valeth looked to Elias. "Your call." He nodded. The hollow filled with unfamiliar faces, some defiant, some shaken. "This situation is unacceptable," one counselor said. "You have destabilized." "You destabilized yourselves," Elias interrupted, "by assuming no one would remember." "You are one man," another said. "One survivor." Elias's voice remained steady. "I'm not alone anymore." He gestured, and Valeth projected feeds from across the sector, Humans organizing relief, non-human ships offering aid, worlds reopening sealed archives. The galaxy underestimated us, Elias continued. That was your mistake. This is your consequence. The council cut the channel. Valeth let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. You didn't threaten them. No, Elias said. I informed them. The human flotilla reformed, smaller now, battered but intact. Messages of support arrived from unexpected places. Species long silent, allies once burned. Valeth turned to Elias. What happens next? He looked out at the stars, at the long road ahead. We keep going. We protect the truth. We don't let anyone disappear again. And you? She asked. Elias considered. I stop being the last witness. Valeth nodded slowly. Then I'll stay. He looked at her, surprised. Someone needs to remind the galaxy what you're capable of, she said. A faint smile crossed his face. Across the sector, the story spread, not of conquest, not of revenge, but of endurance that refused to stay buried. Humanity was spoken of again. Not as expendable. As inevitable. The battlefield quieted, not into peace, but into something heavier, reckoning. Wreckage drifted like ash after a long fire. Human ships moved methodically, scanning for survivors, extending rescue lines without checking uniforms or allegiances. The war had paused, and in that pause, choices were being made. Valeth watched from the command seat as escape pods were pulled in, medical bays filling with wounded of every species. You're rewriting the rules, she said. Elias stood behind her, hands resting lightly on the console. I'm reminding them the rules were always lies. A damaged coalition cruiser powered down completely, broadcasting surrender codes. Its captain appeared on the open channel, eyes hollow. We yield, the alien said. There was no briefing for this outcome. Elias leaned forward. There never is when arrogance replaces planning. The channel closed. Valeth exhaled slowly. That could have been a trap. Fearful people don't surrender creatively, Elias replied. They surrender honestly. The human flotilla regrouped near a stable orbital point. Makeshift repair drones buzzed between hulls. Civilians transferred supplies without orders, operating on instinct shaped by necessity. No banners flew. No victory music played. This doesn't look like a triumph, Valeth observed. It isn't, Elias said. It's accountability. A priority message arrived, marked with an independent seal. Valeth brought it up. The face that appeared was unfamiliar, older, dignified, non-human. Captain Rourke, the speaker said, voice steady. I represent the Archivist Accord. We confirm the validity of your data. The Coalition's historical record has been compromised. Elias nodded once. You're going to restore it. We will attempt to, the Archivist replied. But there will be resistance. There always is, Elias said. Truth survives it. The transmission ended. Valeth turned to him. You just destabilized the most powerful alliance in known space. Elias looked tired now. Not weak, spent. They did that themselves. I just stopped holding the door closed. Another message chimed, this one human-coded. A young woman appeared on screen, eyes bright with disbelief and hope. My parents were on the evacuation corridor, she said. We were told no one held it. Elias swallowed. They were wrong. She smiled through tears. Thank you. The channel cut. Silence followed. Valeth watched him carefully. That's what kept you alive, isn't it? What? The idea that someone might still need the truth. Elias nodded. If the story ended with me, then everything we lost would stay buried. Outside the viewport, stars burned steadily, indifferent to what had shifted beneath them. Coalition space was already fracturing, some worlds pulling away, others calling for inquiry, a few threatening retaliation. Valeth crossed her arms. You've made enemies that will never stop hunting you. I know, Elias said. And allies who expect leadership. I know that too. She studied him for a long moment. You could walk away. Disappear. You've earned that. Elias turned to face her fully. So did everyone who died in Omega Black. They didn't get the option. Valeth inclined her head slightly. Then what do you choose? Elias looked at the human ships, at the alien vessels now flying alongside them, at a fragile coalition forming without orders or treaties. I choose to stay visible, he said. So no one like Vol ever believes erasure is enough. As if summoned by the thought, a final transmission forced its way through, Warden Zirak Vol, broadcasting from an unidentified location. His image flickered, strained but defiant. You've turned yourself into a target, Vol said. Humanity will suffer for this. Elias stepped into the channel. Humanity already suffered, he said. You just stopped being able to hide it. Vol sneered. This ends with you. Elias's voice remained calm. It ends with accountability, whether you're present or not. The transmission cut permanently. Valeth released a slow breath. He's finished. Men like him don't realize it until the end, Elias replied. The fleet began moving, slowly, deliberately, toward neutral space. Aid convoys formed. Messages spread. For the first time in generations, humans were not asking for permission to exist in the galaxy's story. Valeth stood beside Elias at the viewport. You know what they'll call this, she said. Let them name it, Elias replied. Names change. Truth doesn't. She looked at him, a faint smile touching her lips. You're not what the galaxy thought humans were. No, Elias said. We're what happens when you push survivors too far. The ship's engines flared gently as they jumped. Across the stars, worlds began to talk, about broken treaties, about forgotten evacuations, about a species that refused to vanish quietly. Fear followed, yes, but so did respect. Elias felt the weight lift slightly from his chest. Not because the fight was over, but because it finally had meaning. Humanity had never been weak. It had been patient. And now, it was done waiting.